Today's job market is completely saturated with junior UX and product professionals. If you're launching into your career fresh out of a boot camp or university program, and even if you've got a few years experience under your belt and you're looking for a job, in addition to dealing with the sheer volume of people in the job market, you also have to navigate a very broken hiring process, varying levels of hiring manager maturity, as well as varying levels of company maturity. Now, despite all that though, there are ways to make yourself stand out from the crowd. I'm Taylor Reagan, a UX and product design leader with 20 years in the industry, and in this video, I'm gonna show you 3 strategic ways you can level up to be more competitive in the marketplace, as well as be more confident in how you speak, showcase, and demonstrate your abilities. So with that, let's get into it. As a hiring manager, one of the most common challenges I see junior and even senior level UXers struggle with is how to talk about their process when asked during an interview. Now, the first strategic way to be more competitive in the job market is to level up how you speak about your craft. When you're asked during an interview, walk me through your process, it's not a trick question. It's not asked to trip you up, but it often can. And it results in candidates just walking through a standard user-centered design process. Now, the most common criticisms I hear of being asked this question is, hey, it all depends. Give me the context and the purpose and the data and I'll tell you my process. But what most job candidates don't realize is that this is a huge opportunity to break free from a cookie cutter process and demonstrate that you're a credible resource. It's also an opportunity to demonstrate that you can meaningfully speak to and answer a question that is often ambiguous on purpose. Now, when you're asked this question, this is a huge moment for you to lead the conversation by providing the context, the thought leadership, and demonstrating some core critical thinking skills. You can use it as an opportunity to turn the interview into an open conversation that just might surprise your interviewer. Not nailing this question is a massive fail. You could even wind up getting disqualified from an opportunity because you created the perception that you're too junior for the role. Stop with the I go and talk with users first. Instead, use and lead your answer with a critical thinking process.
Now, a few quick disclaimers here. I by no means hold a monopoly on the critical thinking process. The model I'm sharing here is just an example, so you're more than welcome to take this and make it your own. It's important to remember just to keep it simple, okay? Use a mental model like understand, analyze, deliver. Just keep it simple so that it's easy for you to remember and walk through. You want to be sure that you're framing your process in a real-world manner. So as you're walking through your process for understand, you want to speak to points that touch on how you like to understand the business problem being solved, the desired business outcomes, the technology capabilities and constraints, and of course, the context of use for the target audience. Now, as a UX practitioner, priority number 1 is to be an advocate for the end user. However, you're going to set yourself apart from the crowd when you lead the conversation with talking about understanding the business, technology, and product context. For analyze, you can speak to points that touch on how you like to define the problem space, take a look at any existing data that exists, okay? So you want to collaboratively align on what you're solving for and the desired outcomes. You want to quickly collect and understand assumptions, unknowns, and any existing requirements that need to be considered, as well as who the right people are to partner with to start getting work done. Now, you may need to conduct additional research to gather additional data, depending on time and budget. Okay, you also want to speak about how you start thinking in terms of the possible measures you might map to those desired business outcomes, as well as any initial thoughts you have around the design direction of the potential solution. The key here is not to ever get stuck in analysis paralysis, and you shouldn't be impaired by or intimidated by unknowns and ambiguity. Okay, there are going to be plenty of times where you're going to have to use design and different design exercises as a mechanism for understanding what the real requirements are. Okay, and you're going to do this to move things forward based on your best assumptions and the existing data that's available to you at the time. Now, for deliver, you want to talk through how you are an agent of collaboration. Okay, that's very important. Part of your job is to really bring people together to the table. Okay, don't be the type of UX practitioner that's going to grow into a leader that complains about not having a seat at the table. Okay, you create the space and you invite people to the table yourself. Okay, that's leadership. So focus on how you like to use collaborative design thinking sessions to prioritize the best ideas and then start iteratively prototyping potential solutions for those ideas that you've prioritized. You then want to take what you've created and what you've made, whether it's in the form of a design prototype or something else, and you want to evaluate it with stakeholders first. All right. You want to go to your business stakeholders, revise it, and then get it into the hands of real users so that you can get those observations and insights and then use that to really inform the design direction that you really need to head in. So ultimately, you want to get to a sized and prioritized backlog from which you can start to build product. Okay, that's very important to remember that. That's the ultimate goal. So in interviews, when you're asked about your process, lead with a critical thinking process, and you'll set yourself apart from the competition. Okay, you're going to go through this, practice this, make it natural, understand the concept and the approach that I'm trying to teach you here. If you're interested in learning more about this model that I've used over the years and how you can develop your own approach for confidently speaking through it during your interviews, you can check it out in my online course at getuxlevelup.com. The link is also in the description. Okay, the second way to be more competitive in the job market is to showcase real world problem solving in your case studies. Okay, as a hiring manager with a network of hiring managers, one of the most common things we see from junior candidates are group and conceptual projects that have no real world impact. Now, another common gripe are portfolios that are filled with nothing but public facing website work or apps that have been done thousands of times over and over again by everyone. Social media apps, music apps, e-commerce concepts. That work can be very slick, but it just looks like everything else you can find on Dribble and Behance. Instead of pushing pixels on flat concepts, focus on conceptual projects that demonstrate depth and critical thinking and solving real world problems. And you can do this by focusing on enterprise SaaS app experiences. Now, getting started with this is not as difficult as you might think. The public portfolios of different digital agencies and consultancies are a great place to start because they provide you with lots of ideas for enterprise SaaS app projects that you can realistically tackle as conceptual projects. All right, go and look for projects across different industries that have business use cases that are interesting to you, and you can use those different types of case studies to pinpoint the variety of technologies that are being used to provide the solution. Okay, now I recommend starting big and then going to mid to smaller sized agencies and shops to see what different companies are working on. Management consulting companies are a great resource for finding data in publicly available resources that you can really use to kickstart your concept project and do so with real world value and context. So let's say for a second, hypothetically, that you're going to focus your enterprise SaaS app concept on banking as a service, where a neobank is using AI to help their customers. Okay, McKinsey has recently published an article on this topic that provides great thought leadership and meaningful data that you can use to kick something like this off. Now, I've included a link to the example article in the description below, as well as a couple of additional resources that are available to you. Okay. Now, once you've kind of done your thought work on this, you want to establish a strategy and start mapping that out. And once you've actually pushed out some initial designs and have prototyped the concept, get out into the field and validate your solution. Okay. So again, let me just back up for a second. It's really important to be thoughtful about which types of enterprise projects you tackle. Try to pick ones of where the end user are going to be pretty readily accessible to you as you go out and kind of validate your concepts. You don't want to focus on something that's so highly specialized that it's such a specific type of user that it's very difficult to get access. You know, a banking app makes perfect sense because everyone uses banking apps. So I don't want to say that to impede you from going after things that you're really interested in. I'm just saying, use that as a consideration, okay, as you're going after these. So, okay, what you want to do, really get your ideas out there. All right, be creative. Use guerrilla methods for getting participants, 5 to 6 people to really validate the concept. Okay, do observed usability studies. Okay, there's plenty of information out there for you that's available on how to create a testing plan, how to do a moderator guide, how to get out there and do these types of tests. Okay, so I highly encourage you to get that type of experience under your belt. And just remember, don't ask leading questions. You want to ask open-ended questions and really drill into the why behind people's behaviors. Okay, so after you've done that, you want to use those findings to iterate a detailed design solution for your idea. Okay, and make sure that you're mapping it back to potential business outcomes as a part of your project, so you can package all this up in your case study and really tell a fun, interesting, thoughtful story for the conceptual project that you've done. All right, now when you focus on tackling enterprise software solutions, you're gonna set yourself apart from the crowd, okay? Because you're gonna demonstrate that you have the capability to tackle complex and sophisticated UX and product work. Now, I'm not saying that public-facing websites are not important. They're extremely important because that's the face of a business, okay? And that work is extremely important. However, and if that's what you're interested in, then go for it. If you just want to do public-facing website work, then go after that and do that, okay? That's totally fine. There's a talent and a skill for that. There's a lot of coordination with SEO experts, content writers. I mean, that type of work is extremely important. Don't get me wrong. But what I am saying is that you are going to completely up your game and you're going to position yourself differently in the market when you go after experiences that exist beyond the purchase wall or the login wall or the registration wall. Once you start moving beyond that, there's an entire digital ecosystem for a business that exists, right? As a product suite, right? Everything that exists beyond that first initial public facing experience, that's where you really want to focus your time and effort if you want to really differentiate yourself in the industry. Okay, I see people get turned down all the time for jobs because they don't have enough enterprise software application experience, and this is going to help you get that. All right, moving on. The third strategic way to be more competitive in the job market is to demonstrate your ability to deliver across the UX core competency. Okay, forget about the generalist, specialist, niche discussion for a minute. All right, as someone that spends a significant amount of time talking with potential clients, structuring and selling projects, companies are running very lean right now, okay? And they want individuals that can deliver value across the core competency of UX and product design. Okay, that means that employers are looking for candidates that can flex across research, strategy, and design activities. You don't have to be a powerhouse at everything, but the more coverage that you can provide, the better. And some of this is going to come with time. All right, you're going to get to a point, or you should get to a point in your career where you've done all of these exercises at least a few times. Okay, it's very important. Don't paint yourself into a corner by going so hyper specialized that you are diluting the value that you bring to the table. Okay, that's very important, especially in today's world with gurus and experts that are telling you to double down on hyper specialization and niche. Okay. So during your interview process, you want to demonstrate that you have a seek first to understand mindset and that you're capable of partnering with others to answer the biggest questions around a problem space to come up with a direction for a potential solution. Okay. You also want to demonstrate your ability to analyze existing product experiences as well as products in the market. All right. So this touches on, being able to come in and do a heuristic evaluation, a UI analysis, as well as competitive analysis. All right. And being able to lead and move through strategic activities like experience mapping, customer journeys, and user flows. Those exercises, be able to move through those in a nimble but meaningful way is going to serve you well. Being able to articulate the difference and the outcomes of those exercises and the value that they add, that is very important. You need to know the difference, and you need to know the outcomes of those exercises, okay? Because these things are not done in a vacuum. So it's extremely important to understand what the outcomes are of those exercises and how they plug in to the overall application development process. Because again, you got to remember, the goal is to get a product to market, okay? And you really want to make sure that you're communicating that you're an outcome-oriented professional, right? That wants to align these exercises with, how they support your key stakeholders, your colleagues, as well as the end customer. All right. UX is a plate spinning balancing act. Welcome to the party. All right. Potential employers appreciate and value UX pros that can structure and facilitate workshops, because that really helps align a team, bring a team together, get ideas outside of people's heads, but also prioritize and help move an organization forward. So demonstrating that you have the ability to swoop in and use any number of design thinking exercises to facilitate collaborative sessions, that's a huge plus. If you haven't done that before and you're interested in learning how to do that, leave me a comment. Okay, just make a comment below the video, and we'll see what we can do to get something cooking on that, because this is really important for you to be able to learn and understand that. There are a lot of clients that I work with, right? There's never a lack of ideas, but it's determining which ones are the best to pursue and prioritize. So those types of kind of facilitator collaborative exercises are very important and will serve you well. Information architecture, interaction design, iterative design prototyping, iterative usability testing, and then incremental design, as well as UI and product design, systems, as well as, let's throw implementation support on there. Don't let these things intimidate you. All right. You don't have to be a virtuoso at everything, but you do have to know and be able to nail the fundamentals of some of these areas in order to tackle problems in a comprehensive manner. Okay. You need to know the nuts and bolts of what information architecture and the core fundamentals of interaction design are. It's extremely important. All this, again, is going to come with time and experience, but it's important for you to grasp the most critical aspects of areas like this. Now, you want to make sure that you're able to create, for instance, for information architecture, you want to demonstrate that you can create and speak to organizational and navigational models in your proposed designs, as well as define in detail how an interactive system accommodates different user behaviors. Okay, that's what people are interested in. Hiring managers are interested in hearing you talk about and articulate during a conversation. You should have the demonstrated ability to conduct task-based one-on-one usability testing. Okay, showing that you can come up with a test plan, a moderator guide, and be able to actually conduct usability testing and observational studies, that is a huge plus to have that ability. You don't have to love it. You don't have to be extremely gifted at it, but you do need to understand how those work. Okay, that's very important. You're not off the hook from this stuff. All right, if you really want to be successful at UX, you have to be on the hook for these things. Okay, now being able, in addition to once you conduct those tests, all right, the real value here is not just throwing designs in front of a customer and asking them what they think. All right, there's a huge difference between what people say they do and what they actually do. Okay, your goal is to understand the why behind the behavior, and the only way you're going to get that is by doing observational studies. Okay, so once you come out of those exercises, it's going to benefit you to understand and to spend some time learning how to structure, conduct, and analyze those findings. Okay, so being able to do thematic analysis is very important. All right, savvy clients and employers know the difference in these things. Okay, so in addition to that, potential employers want to see that you can do iterative design that's focused on defining and shaping a solution. All right, as well as the ability to do incremental design, which is focused on designing and building pieces of a product in the form of new features or functions. Okay, now I'm not going to do an opinion-based deep dive into UX versus UI versus product design, but I will say that the more that you're able to demonstrate your ability to produce high-fidelity designs based on existing brand guidelines, the better. Okay, so focusing on areas like UI and product design systems, that's a huge plus. Implementation is a huge plus. Okay, understanding how your designs get implemented, whether that's, with CSS, HTML, the different frameworks that are available nowadays, React, Angular. Take the time, do your research, go out and look at these frameworks and understand how they're being used. Okay, there are going to be some potential employers that have existing design systems that they may want you to work within and build upon. And before my final thoughts here, one other thing, don't let your lack of working on real projects with developers tank your confidence. Okay, we all started at zero. My best advice is to demonstrate to your interviewer that you work to understand the technology that you're going to be designing for. Okay, meaning that you want to understand a little bit about the technical architecture of the proposed solution and the different frameworks being used to deliver that solution. Okay, so make sure you're kind of doing your homework again on these different front-end frameworks as well as some of the build frameworks. So in wrapping this up, take what I've showed in this video to level up how you speak, showcase, and demonstrate your work and who you are as an emerging UX professional. Now, if you're intentional about taking the time to structure your thoughts and your work, you're gonna set yourself apart from other candidates, and you just might be surprised by the response you get. Okay, if you've enjoyed this video, subscribe, leave a comment. Look, I'm here to help you. Leave comments, all right, and we can come up, and when I see a pattern of comments, I'll create content for it. Okay, that's the goal here. If there's specific topics that you want to hear me drill into, tell me, all right? Just leave it in the comments. And with that, I will see you in the next video.